let's start with obviously a very, very serious topic with what's going on in the world right now, the war that's going on in Ukraine. I know there's a massive Ukrainian community in Mississauga. There's a massive church too,
Yeah.
there in Brownsthorpe and Cothra. Have you talked to the Ukrainian community, and what are they saying?
Oh, yes. So let me say how inconceivable this all feels. Unreal that we're going to have a ground war. We are having a ground war in Europe, particularly in Eastern Europe once again. I did a community consultation on this situation in Ukraine with Ivan Franco, our seniors home, and a lot of the community leaders, the Ukrainian Congress of Toronto, all representatives from the Ukrainian community. Had an opportunity to speak to the priests as well. And last Friday, after things escalated, we decided to have kind of a prayer rally at Celebration Square where we all came together and spoke. We had politicians, of course, but community leaders. Really, it was more about them than us, and had Father Panku from the Ukrainian church come and lead us in prayer. And of course, we have tens of thousands of Ukrainians in Mississauga. And we played the Canadian and Ukrainian national anthems, and then we raised the flag, the Ukrainian flag at City Hall. So that was very inspiring, but things have progressively gotten worse. Notwithstanding, we see moments of heroism in towns that the insurgents are defending, which gives me great hope. The Russian army is still making progress, headway into some of the major cities, Kiev, and moving forward as well. So on Sunday, I had the opportunity to go down to Nathan Phillips Square for the large rally, and there were about 30,000 people there. I would say we had a few hundred at
Yeah.
ours. There were 30,000 at Nathan Phillips Square, and of course, I stood with John Tory, Chrystia Freeland, some of the members of Parliament, Ivan Baker from Etobicoke, who is Ukrainian, James Maloney, Julie Dershowitz, quite a number of them. Were present, as well as community representatives from every major community. Polish community, as you know, I'm 3/4 Polish, 1/4 Ukrainian, Estonian, Lithuanian, from Hong Kong, Vietnamese, you name it. There were representatives from everywhere showing their support. And again, we chanted, gave speeches, sang songs. It was really moving. I'm so glad I could accommodate in my schedule. I'm really glad I went down. And then today I've been working with some members of the community who've been raising money. We've been encouraging everyone to donate to the Red Cross. And then I have another group who has actually been purchasing and finding donations of medical supplies and equipment that are badly needed right now. And so we were speaking about, does anyone have any contacts for more medical supplies, medical equipment, and perhaps a plane, funding to charter a plane to take it into Ukraine or into Poland as close as we can get, and then truck the rest over. So I've been spending time between meetings trying to make those kinds of arrangements too. So I'm hands-on on this issue. It affects me very deeply. My maternal grandmother was Ukrainian. We are from a part of Poland where the border shifted all the time. And so the towns were in Ukraine, in Russia, or in Ukraine, and then in Poland. And so people spoke interchangeably Polish, Ukrainian, all the time. So, growing up, I spoke, whether my grandmother spoke to me or my grandfather, it depended. You got asked a question in Polish or Ukrainian, you respond in either, and it was interchangeable. So this runs very deep for me.
Yeah.
And to see those pictures of the tanks going down the streets, imagine opening your curtains, opening your blinds, opening your window and seeing tanks on your street. Well, that's what these people are facing. They're running into bomb shelters for cover. They're going into subway stations, but many are fighting back too. And they see such examples of bravery, courage, heroism. It's truly inspiring, but I'm worried. I just don't know how this can conclude. We know that the peace talks, there was no resolution. I don't know. It's just heartbreaking for me to see this happening. And what's at stake here is democracy itself. Ukraine is a free and democratic nation. They're strong, resilient people. This is a brazen, unprovoked attack on their territory. I mean, imagine.
Yeah.
Imagine that at our borders. So, I just never thought I would see that in my lifetime. I thought we saw the end of ground war after World Wars One and Two in Europe. So, um,
Yeah.
it's very, very difficult, but the community is coming together, and not only the Ukrainian community, many communities across the GTA are lending their support to the Ukrainian community and doing whatever they can to support, raising funds, looking for, donations, medical supplies and equipment, etc.
Cool. I'm going to change gears a little bit. Today, I went out to lunch. I didn't have to show my vaccine passport, which was great. I guess the restaurants have a choice whether or not to ask, but this restaurant didn't. When do you think we can see the end of masking?
Well, that's a good question. I was out for lunch yesterday and was asked for my passport, which I happily showed. I know there are certain individuals who have compromised immune systems, autoimmune system issues, rather, and they're concerned about it. I've been listening to them. They're very concerned about being out in public with people not having to show their vaccine passports. So that businesses do have the choice. And as we loosen restrictions, I'm always confident that the provincial government will make the right decisions. And should we have a turn for the worse, should there be a new variant, should the unexpected present itself, then they'll pull the emergency brake once again and slow things down. So masking is a topic that I know is being discussed at amongst the medical officers of health at the provincial level, and particularly Dr. Kieran Moore. I think he said by the end of the month we'll be evaluating. Again, we want to take it slow. Let's start in the low risk settings, of course, and be very, very cautious in higher risk settings such as hospitals, of course, long-term care facilities, etc. So, there are, many of you've seen the pictures from the United States that people are going out without without their masks. But I think most of us I feel a little uneasy about it. And, it just gives me some comfort. It makes me feel a little more comfortable to know that I have that extra layer of protection. So if you ever feel vulnerable and you're out and there are large groups of people, then be sure you can put your mask on, particularly indoors. Outdoors, I know is a little a lower risk being outdoors, but nonetheless. Mm-hmm.
I saw you on your Instagram. You were doing a tour of a lot of businesses in Mississauga. You went to my boys, Mo's place at Mazraoui Kitchen, the Egyptian kitchen.
You were the local favorite there. Oh boy, they wouldn't stop talking about you. You're there.
Oh, really? I own $5. I own $5.
I tell you, it's just another example of a spectacular Mississauga restaurant, to be honest. But the food was spectacular.
Oh, so good.
Local talent. The team there. Oh my gosh, Mohammed Salah, he's fantastic, and he's so proud of his team. They work so hard. But the point of yesterday was really to do the tour. We did it in Meadowvale, Streetswell, Mazraoui. The restaurant in Streetsville. Then we went up to Meadowvale. Then we went down to Clarkson and ended in Port Credit. It was really to do a tour of a number of businesses, gyms, martial arts, salon, spa, restaurants, etc., to get a flavor of how they're coping with the recovery and how, there was a little pastry shop too, but how they're coping with the recovery and how badly they were impacted as a result of the pandemic. And the good news is everybody's rebounding strongly. And some of the businesses, frankly, pivoted and were able to pivot, and particularly the restaurants, as we know, Mazraoui was able to do a lot of catering, and so they were able to stay on their feet, and Wanda's Kitchen as well. It's really supported by the community. And the common theme was if you had strong community support, you would survive. And so Wanda's Kitchen went out of her way to build a strong following locally, and people, really wanted to see her survive and supported her. Same was true, of all the other businesses as well. So, there is a resilience amongst our entrepreneurs, of our business owners here in Mississauga. I was very proud to see, and most of them are on their feet now, well on the way to recovery. So that was good news. And it was such an important touch point that I was there with Trevor McPherson, who is CEO of the Board of Trade, and we said this is something we should be doing once a quarter. Really picking businesses, different parts of the city, and going out and touring them and meeting with them and listening to their stories and listening to how we can help them improve, what more we can do for them as a city, as a Board of Trade, etc. So you'll see more of that in the future.
Awesome. Cool. I guess the big question is with your F-45, are you allowed to eat all that stuff, or is it portion control? What is it?
So because I'm working out fairly regularly, I am able to, eat a lot more than I used to. So we had an enormous lunch. I think we sampled everything on the menu. And then I went to Wanda's Kitchen, and that was so good. It smelled so good too. And then we went to Le Delice Cafe, a bakery. Oh, and then, yes, so then I had dinner at home too. So I will be there tomorrow. I didn't go yesterday morning. It was the day before, but I'll be there tomorrow.
Yeah. Okay, awesome. Cool. Less than 100 days till the provincial election. Okay. I know we've talked about what Mississauga wants, but have you talked to the actual candidates and talked to them about it?
So not yet. We plan to. We're talking about hosting a debate as well. That's still up in the air, but now that things are opening up, a lot more likely possibility.
Okay.
So certainly we have our pre-budget submissions are in, our federal and provincial, so they are fully aware. At least the members of the government in opposition are fully aware of our asks. The Premier knows very acutely, hence why he announced that, the loop in his comments when he announced the new naming of the LRT. So that's great news. Of course, we're still looking for all-day two-way GO train service on the Milton line, and we need some guarantees that that loop will be built. We're in the midst of trying to, build a new hospital on the Trillium site, so that's really great news. And then, a lot of asks with respect to long-term sustainable funding and also on our operating deficits. And, I had some folks make some comments on social media about our operational deficits, and largely every municipality with a complex transit system is an operating deficit because people aren't riding public transit to the degree they were previously. It costs us twice as many to move half as many people. So naturally our costs have increased. Plus, we're trying to build a world-class city. So any of the deficit positions we're in is solely COVID related, not related to any. Oh,
sorry. And then getting out of Peel, right? Is that one of the?
That is still my number one ask. Is
number one. Okay, number one is getting out of Peel.
Control. I like to call it controlling our own destiny. Being a single-tier city, it's time for us to go our own way. And I think we all saw that acutely during the pandemic, when different rules would have applied to Mississauga if we were our own city with our own public medical officer of health, right? So different, clearly.
So, you mind if I ask, have you talked to them about that, each candidate?
Oh, not each candidate. It's the Premier and the cabinet ministers are well aware. Okay. Well aware. I don't miss an opportunity to speak about that. But certainly, we fund 60% of the costs of the region. We have 50% of the votes. There's a huge inequity there. We're transferring money each year for policing for Brampton, for planning for roads, in addition to funding 60% of the cost. So there's a huge inequity for Mississauga. And besides, I want to make decisions for my city at one table, not at two different. Think about the duplication that exists. We go from a city council meeting on Wednesday to a regional council meeting on Thursday, and we sit down with a different group of people and discuss the same issues. That should happen at one table. We should make all informed decisions with one group at one meeting, not at two. A huge duplication, and so I think that's obvious.
Do we keep Mr. Lowe, Dr. Lowe? Sorry.
We love Dr. Lowe. Dr. Lowe.
Mississauga, we get Dr. Lowe. Okay. Okay. And one last thing, summer events. Are we going to have them this year? I hear rumors that it's happening. Summer events at Celebration Square.
Oh, the festivals. I would love to say yes, and I'm thinking we're getting there because we had to kind of get through this period. really, as things open up, we'll see how things go and ensure that there's not some sort of,
Nothing official yet?
Nothing official yet, and the groups do need certainty because, of course, they need to plan, they need to make financial commitments. So,
True. Okay. All right. That's all I have. Mayor Crombie, thank you. Thank you so much. I'll see you in a couple weeks.
thanks so much. Thanks for having me.
Bye.